a win's a win, but I think it was quite unique. We found a way, and I think that's the thing. Afterwards in the game, you're kind of dumbfounded. We found a way to win, and I think that's what you always try to look for. I mean, that's the name of the game. No matter what you got to do, you got to find a way to win the game. Whether, ugly, whether it's dominating, all things you can, go back and evaluate, but find a way to win the game, and we did. You don't go out on the road that often and not just lose a turnover battle, but lose it by 2, which is, to me, a significant ratio when you lose the turnover battle by 2 and you find a way to win. So unique. Obviously, we're excited about it. Everybody will probably want to talk about, obviously, James Wiggins made an incredible play at the end of the game. To me, and I kind of visited with our guys on Sunday, that sealed the game, but that's not what won the game. It's not. I mean, there's probably 10, 12 plays, 6 or so in particular, that I would say won the game or gave us the opportunity to win the game. Ones that people don't talk about. Kobe Bryant gets beat on a long fade ball, on a double move ball, finds a way to continue to fight and scratch and claw and get the guy out of bounds at the 5-yard line. 2 plays later, 3 plays later, Perry Young runs the guy on a jet sweep that they got an opportunity to either get in the end zone or get the first down, runs him out of bounds 2 yards short. They kick a field goal. Because of that, they gave us an opportunity to stay in the ballgame. They score a touchdown. I don't know if the ballgame, I don't know. I mean, we're going to have a tough time going all the way down the field. So gave us an opportunity to stay in the ballgame. And then, to me, as big a play as anything, no one probably talks about is the last offensive play in that 2-minute drive. Dez throws the ball to Mike Warren. He catches it about 2 yards short of the first down with a guy right there on him. He turns around, makes a jump cut, finds a way to get 2-3 more yards, stretches the ball out, which in turn gives us the first down, which stops the clock. If not, game's over. He gets tackled. That's short of the first down. The clock continues to run. I don't think there's any chance we get up there and are able to spike the football to give us a chance to kick a field goal. So that has an opportunity. That helped us win the game, or could say won the game. And then obviously Cole to line up there, not kick it once, not twice, but 3 times through the uprights. That won the game for us. And then everybody talks about, obviously, James Wiggins. And to me, what it did was seal the game. We gave ourselves a chance. It put us in a position to win the football game. James makes an incredible play, takes it back the distance, and then seals the game for us. So a lot of things for us to learn from, not just as players, but as coaches as well. There's some situations that I reevaluated that I would probably handle a little bit differently. But all in all, is another opportunity for us to get out of town, get back to town with a win, and a great feeling in our stomachs and ability to get better.
Was one of those situations the 4th and 3 first half? The thought process behind that.
Which one?
The one where you went for it.
Which one? There's 3 of them. There's 3 of them.
Where you went, I think you were on the 12 or 15.
Yeah, the 15-yard line, if you want to be exact. Yeah, and there's some things that kind of go. It's a 6th series of the game. First series, we drive all the way down and score. Second series, we turn the ball over on the first play. Third series, we drive all the way back down, turn it over. Fourth series, we drive ourselves back down. Fifth series, we punt. Sixth series. So in my mind, hey, we've moved this football. We've moved this football. We're an aggressive team. We're not going to settle for field goals. It has nothing to do with Cole Smith. So in that set, yes, as you look back at it, I wish I would have kicked the field goal there. But also there's a reason why we made the decision. And we'd been moving the football very well and didn't know that, the game was going to turn out the way it did. But, there's some situations like that you kind of look back and say, okay, how would I do this differently?
Last year versus SMU in overtime and this year, did you think about that before overtime started?
No. I mean, actually, the only time I thought about it is when we made the sack and it became 2nd and 20 or 2nd and 22, and they get 18, 19 yards on the next play. That's when it reminded me of the 4th and 26 from the year before. But, we kind of understand that there's no bearing. What happened last year has no bearing, on the game. You can use it as motivation and different things like that, especially with the new, with the new coach and things. So even what you study in the game from last year, it didn't have a whole lot of bearing on it. But, in the midst of those things, you don't have time to think about things like that. But I can't say it didn't come up after we got the sack to make it 2nd and 20. Oh goodness sakes, let's find a way to make sure we can finish this thing.
You guys have practiced him as drills a lot.
Yeah, I mean, again, you practice them, but you don't really practice. It's tougher to do. This isn't the NFL where every game comes down to a 2-minute drill. And I as a defensive coordinator, I wanted every time we did 2 minutes, I want a situation. I want the guys to understand the situation. I want to know how many timeouts. And then it becomes a little bit more difficult to do those things every day, especially when you're not, you're doing them on a Friday, you're doing it on a Tuesday, where you're not on a Sunday, where you're not, actually competing for the ball. So sometimes the situation can get lost when you work on them, as opposed to just the mechanics. So we work a lot on the mechanics of 2 minutes. The situation in general becomes something that you probably talk a lot more about, and that's why, as much as we were successful in giving ourselves the opportunity for Dez to run the ball a few times when he did, to make sure he knows where the first down marker is, to get down. You don't do those things in practice. You don't put your quarterback in a situation where he's going to get hit possibly, and so yes, I'm impressed with their ability to stay under, calm under pressure, understand that when you got to be able to take off and run, where you need to get to, when you need to slide. We all have an opinion on, do you slide in some of those late game situations? And then, there's a lot of people that tell you don't check the ball down there to Mike Warren, because if he gets tackled short of the first down and not out of bounds with no timeouts, you don't have another play to run. So a lot of things that unfortunately probably, you got to study and continue to learn from as we, we'll continue to do the mechanics of 2 minutes. It's just tough during the season to put yourself in a lot of those specific situations.
What about with timeouts? Are you, like, in that second half, are you thinking this is shaping up to be a close game? I better save these? Are you telling guys, hey, don't blow a timeout?
No, it's all. I mean, the second half. I mean, we're very diligent in what we're doing, especially with time management and then your ability to put yourself in a situation to save those as much as possible. I mean, you don't want to have to use them unless it's the right situation, but you also got to weigh some options there. And I learned a lot from the Ohio game. I mean, Coach Solis did a great job. Now I don't know what I didn't just go back and study every situation that was he ever going to call a timeout, that they ever get a delay a game, but the ability to keep your 3 timeouts gave him a chance to win that football game. You go back, I think on our bye week, I remember the little bit of football that I watched, the Michigan State versus Penn State. Michigan State ends up winning the game. They punt the ball away. They got 4th and 5 on about their own 45, maybe 4th and 3 on their own 45 with 1:30 to go in the game. Well, you got to go for it, right? It's not what he did. He punted the football, punted it down, called his 3 timeouts, got the ball back on the 40-yard line, goes down and wins the game. I don't know how many people would do that in that situation, but the ability to have yourself to have your timeouts, if you can manage and do it the right way, I think in those tight games is going to give you a lot of flexibility.
You guys excited to return home after 2 straight road games?
Yeah, no, I mean, shoot, we're excited. Obviously not just to get another shot at Navy after how it went last year, but also to be back home. I mean, that's where we try to get this student section, the ruckus, back behind us and get in the confines of of Nippert Stadium. And I'm not going to say it, but going on the road sometimes that wasn't the atmosphere that that I know it's going to be like on Saturday. So we're excited to get back into a great atmosphere, and especially one that's supportive and behind us.
You talked about not focusing too much on what happened last year, with the SMU game. What about with Navy? Are you totally?
Well, yeah, it's not the same. You got the same type of offense. You got the same coach. You got a lot of the same things. You got to study history in order to not repeat it. But that doesn't, because they did what they did last year, doesn't have a bearing on this year. Just like I think when you play Navy, their record has no bearing on the game. I don't even know what their record is, to be honest with you. Have never looked. Because I don't think it has a bearing on the game. It's such a unique, offense and what you're doing. And it's even unique then, for our offensive guys that are playing against their defense, because the 2 teams with the greatest time of possession in the league. So it's a unique game. It's a unique week. And, so I think there's some things you throw out, but, there's not everything. I mean, there are going to be some similar things that we saw last year that we'll see again this year.
It might be a little nerve-wracking at times, but how good has it been for Dez to kind of have defenses adjust to what he's been doing well, taking away some things and having him have to make that next step?
No, that's a part of growing up. That's a part of, even as a staff, it's not just Des. The ability for Des to react, the ability for Des to grow, the ability for Des to, to be able to make some adjustments in a game have a lot to do with the whole entire staff being able to do it. It's a group of guys that don't know each other as well. They've only, it's a year and a half now. We're a lot better than we were last year, whether it's offense or defense, at having the ability to make adjustments and then being able to communicate them. And I think that's where you're seeing, a lot of growth, whether that was Hayden in there or Des, it's still going to be something where, whether you're a senior or a freshman, there's going to be adjustments that you have to make. And the better you understand the game and the better understand the what's and the whys to what, we do offensively and defensively, the better relationship and the communication you have with your coach, the better you make adjustments. And I think that's where, having that ability to do that has helped us.
How much practice throughout the year do you kind of game plan for to play in? It's a unique offense.
Yeah.
It's 1 out of 12 games, but yet, 1 week.
No, we do a lot. I mean, this past spring, obviously, you do some. We did some throughout the summer with the time that was available, with the new rules. Fall camp, we did some. To be honest with you, on the bye week, we took a day and we did some as well. So all things that I could tell you that we did the year before too, and maybe it didn't quite go as well as we had planned, and it wasn't from a lack of preparation. But I think the ability to understand what happened last year, not just for us as coaches as well, but the players too, the recognition of the speed of the game and how fast things happen in this offense is so different. I mean, it's not like, well, you play against tempo offense. I know, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how fast the dive hits, how fast the quarterback gets to the edge, how quick that crack block happens. So, the unique thing for us is to be able to go out here, especially on a Tuesday and Wednesday, and try to simulate as best we can the speed and the tempo that which those things hit with.
In the back of your defense, I think Perry's the only guy that was in the spot that he was in last year when he played them.
He was?
Was he not?
Well, he was suspended for the first half.
So,
So I hope he's not in the same spot in the first half, because that means he's in the locker room. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of carryover for some of those guys.
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of person you are. I mean, to me, when negative things happen, it fuels me a lot more. I think it's a good thing that those guys that at least had some opportunities to be out there, because they'll realize, how quickly things happen. And they'll see it on film after practicing today. They'll see it on film after practicing tomorrow. And they'll at least be able to say, now, guys, understand something now. That happens a lot faster. I don't know if they knew that going into the game last year. I know us as coaches kept thinking it's going to happen faster, it's going to happen faster, it's going to happen faster. But what is faster to somebody is relative. And I think, so guys are obviously in some different positions that they're playing. But at least they've played in it, they've seen it, they understand. Hopefully they'll be able to make adjustments a lot quicker.
How do you guys plan to handle multiple quarterbacks they could potentially throw at?
Just like we do every single week. It's awareness and making sure that, you know who's in there. Our guys know who's in there. But there's some things you can't you can't overdo. They're still going to run their offense. Does it slightly change based on who's at quarterback? Yeah, on where they're trying to get the ball to. But I think that's probably some of the mistakes maybe we made a little bit last year. Is too much emphasis on, okay, well, who's this guy? Where's this guy at? This is what they do out of this. They can do anything, and you could give them a completely different look, and they can make tweaks and changes, during a series, not just in between series. So it's going to take a lot of discipline from a lot of guys, and a lot of guys are going to have to be able to adjust, and whatever happens.
You mentioned time of possession and running ball. Did SMU do anything special to shut down
No, I mean, again, the ability to put more guys in the box, but I think that a lot of people, are starting to play some more of the odd stuff, and I think gives you, just it's not as exact. When you're a gap controlled defense sometimes, when you're playing the 4-down line, I mean, you got a lot better idea of where guys are. But I think they do a good job. They're an aggressive insert of their backers in a lot of things, so they take double teams off really, really fast. And sometimes it hurts them, and some of the play action stuff. But I think they had a philosophy. I could give them credit. They had a philosophy. They were not going to let you run the football, and they were going to challenge you and make you throw the ball, in a lot of situations. And that's why we obviously threw the ball a bit more. Obviously, Khalil with 12 catches, and I think Dez with his biggest day of obviously of a young career with his completions and amount of attempts. But a lot of times that's us maturing to understand that there's some things that teams can dictate a little bit to you, and you got to have the ability to be balanced.
Does that help you in a way where other teams can now look and say that if they need to throw the ball 50 times, they can, and maybe they can't?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it still comes down to, what do they believe is their strengths, and are they going to change to take away your strengths? I mean, I think at least it'll make people have to be aware, and say, okay, hopefully, we're not going to be a one-dimensional team, but.
I'm sorry. They're obviously among the top rushing teams in the nation. What is it with their defense that you've seen?
They're a little different. I think last year they were a little bit older last year at their defense. Maybe a little bit more man coverage oriented sometimes. This year they're probably a little bit more. You see the youth maybe. They don't have as many of the returners, but they still give you fits because, like we said, that the issues you have sometimes when you're lining up in four-man fronts, you got a good idea of where people are, gap-oriented, gap-controlled defenses. All of a sudden they start popping into those four techniques and four eyes and head-up noses, and I think it especially can give you some anxiety, I think, up front. With where exactly are these guys and what are the combinations that we're doing. So, we've seen a lot of it. We do it defensively, to give some looks to the offense as well. But I think that's, they're still going to be multiple in what they do. They're not just going to line up and, trying to go mano-a-mano. They do a good job at moving themselves around, playing some three-man and playing some four-man.
You said you can't look past, it's hard to look past Navy even with USF and UCF on the schedule. How important of a game is this in the stretch run?
They're all important. I mean, especially being back at home, they're all important. I mean, momentum is the key to football, especially college football when you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. I think there's probably a few teams in the country that maybe can override some of the momentum things, and I think Navy's one of them because of the type of kids that they have, the maturity that they have, their military. Obviously, this is, not probably maybe even the first thing for them, with the military and the things that they're doing. So that's why I kind of look at them and say, I don't care if they won their last 4 games or lost their last 4 games. You're going to get their best efforts. You're going to get them in everything that they do. And I don't think that you can even worry about, the record of any sorts. Just, it's because of the kind of kids they have and the kind of program they have.